Hi guys, Brexit, we must mention Brexit. That was the advice actor, comedian and writer Stephen Fry had for the Labour Party, but he didn't limit it to just leaving the European Union, but the fact that Keir Starmer and his shadow cabinet are trying to present themselves as just like the Tories, but without the clowning around. Stephen also mentions the climate crisis, which is being ignored by politicians from both parties, and how this is going to have an enormous impact. Have a listen.
I mean, Stephen, it has been an extraordinary period. COVID, Brexit, all of those things.
Brexit, we must mention Brexit. The Labour Party is afraid to mention it. It was a catastrophe and everybody knows it deep in their bones.
Well, and not everybody would agree with you.
They know it, of course they do. And certainly the rest of the world does. But aside from that, yes, it's funny because it's a clown car crash and you can't help being amused by it. But unfortunately, during that time, so much was taken out of what should be the run of politics. Extraordinary that you can have a conversation with an economics minister in Labour who didn't even mention the climate catastrophe coming, that there's a tsunami coming towards us, which is partly the technology and AI and what's going to happen to work for everybody in this country, almost everybody, and there is the climate crisis. And yet everyone's talking about sort of just doing the same thing, only better. It's catastrophic.
It's always a pleasure to listen to Stephen Fry, and he's completely correct here. It is catastrophic. There is a disaster coming, and you have a Labour Party presenting itself as, we're a bit like the Tories, we're pretty much like the Tories, but we're not as idiotic. We're not clowning around. Now, this is a consequence of both first past the post voting system and this pandering we're seeing to a small section of society at the expense of everything else. Like I've said before, what is the point in having a government if it doesn't invest in health and education, for example? And if we look at education, schools are crumbling, literally crumbling, and the Labour Party have not committed to rebuilding schools because they're afraid that the right-wing media will say, oh, look, you haven't this costed, you're just like Liz Truss, you're going to crash the economy. So they can't act radically, which is necessary. It's necessary to rebuild schools. It's necessary to spend whatever money is necessary to build those schools. Also, health. The NHS is on its knees. And we've heard language from Wes Streeting, who's probably going to be the next health secretary, and even Keir Starmer himself, who said that, we need to rely on the private sector. This is not rebuilding the NHS. This is just continuing Tory policies. Yes, there will be some differences, but you need radical change. And then when it comes to Brexit, of course, they're saying that, we're going to renegotiate in 2025, which you can't actually renegotiate. That it's just a review of the TCA. They're talking about we're going to have a veterinary deal, but that's not radical enough to fix the problems of being outside the single market. What's radical would be saying we're going to rejoin the European Union. But once again, unfortunately, it's this pandering to a small section of society who don't want to rejoin the European Union. So, and of course the climate crisis, you need radical action. But once again, radical action is going to allegedly upset a small section of society, a small voter bloc that Labour believe they need in order to win power. We can only hope that they're acting so timidly now in order to get power, and then they will act radically. But that's not a guarantee. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.